Treaty with the Ottawa, etc. November 17, 1807. Articles of a treaty made at Detroit, this 17th day of November, in the year of our Lord, 1807, by William Hull, Governor of the Territory of Michigan, and Superintendent of Indian Affairs, and sole Commissioner of the United States, to conclude and sign a treaty or treaties, with the several nations of Indians, northwest of the River Ohio, on the one part, and the sachems, chiefs, and warriors of the Ottawa, Chippewa, Wyandot, and Potawatomi nations of Indians, on the other part. To confirm and perpetuate the friendship, which happily subsists between the United States and the nations aforesaid, to manifest the sincerity of that friendship, and to settle arrangements mutually beneficial to the parties. After a full explanation and perfect understanding, the following articles are agreed to, which, when ratified by the President, by and with the advice and consent of the Senate of the United States, shall be binding on them, and the respective nations of Indians. Article 1. The sachems, chiefs, and warriors of the nations aforesaid, in consideration of money and goods, to be paid to the said nations, by the Government of the United States as hereafter stipulated, do hereby agree to cede and forever quit claim, and do in behalf of their nations hereby cede, relinquish, and forever quit claim, unto the said United States, all right, title, and interest, which the said nations now have, or claim, or ever had, or claimed, in, or unto, the lands comprehended within the following described lines and boundaries, beginning at the mouth of the Miami River of the Lakes, and running thence up the middle thereof, to the mouth of the Great Eau Glaise River, thence running to north, until it intersects a parallel of latitude. To be drawn from the outlet of Lake Huron, which forms the River Sinclair, thence running northeast the course, that may be found, will lead in a direct line, to White Rock, in Lake Huron, thence due east, until it intersects the boundary line between the United States and Upper Canada, in said lake, thence southwardly, following the said boundary line, down said lake, through River Sinclair, Lake St. Clair, and the River Detroit, into Lake Erie, to a point due east of the aforesaid Miami River, thence west to the place of beginning. Article 2. It is hereby stipulated and agreed on the part of the United States, as a consideration for the lands, ceded by the nations aforesaid, in the preceding article, that there shall be paid to the said nations, at Detroit, $10,000, in money, goods, implements of husbandry, or domestic animals, at the option of the said nations, seasonably signified, through the Superintendent of Indian Affairs, residing with the said nations, to the Department of War, as soon as practicable, after the ratification of the treaty, by the President, with the advice and consent of the Senate of the United States, of this sum, $3,333.33 and 4 mils, shall be paid to the Ottawa nation. $3,333.33 and 4 mils, to the Chippewa nation, $1,666.66 and 6 mils, to the Wyandot nation, $1,666.66 and 6 mils, to the Potawatomi nation, and likewise an annuity forever, of $2,400, to be paid at Detroit, in manner as aforesaid. The first payment to be made on the first day of September next, and to be paid to the different nations, in the following proportions, $800 to the Ottawas, $800 to the Chippewas, $400 to the Wyandots, and $400 to such of the Potawatomis, as now reside on the River Huron of Lake Erie, the River Raisin, and in the vicinity of the said rivers. Article 3. It is further stipulated and agreed, if at any time hereafter, the said nations should be of the opinion, that it would be more for their interest, that the annuity aforesaid should be paid by installments, the United States will agree to a reasonable commutation for the annuity, and pay it accordingly. Article 4. The United States, to manifest their liberality, and disposition to encourage the said Indians, in agriculture, further stipulate, to furnish the said Indians with 2 blacksmiths, one to reside with the Chippewas, at Saguenay, and the other to reside with the Ottawas, at the Miami, during the term of 10 years, said blacksmiths are to do such work for the said nations as shall be most useful to them. Article 5. It is further agreed and stipulated, that the said Indian nations shall enjoy the privilege of hunting and fishing on the lands ceded as aforesaid, as long as they remain the property of the United States. Article 6. It is distinctly to be understood, for the accommodation of the said Indians, that the following tracts of land within the cession aforesaid, shall be, and hereby are reserved to the said Indian nations, 1 tract of land 6 miles square, on the Miami of Lake Erie, above Roche de Boeuf, to include the village, where Tondagani, or the dog, now lives. Also, 3 miles square on the said river, above the 12 miles square ceded to the United States by the Treaty of Greenville, including what is called Presque Isle, also 4 miles square on the Miami Bay, including the villages where Meshkemau and Wagau now live. Also, 3 miles square on the River Raisin, at a place called Macon, and where the River Macon falls into the River Raisin, which place is about 14 miles from the mouth of said River Raisin, also, 2 sections of 1 mile square each, on the River Rouge, at Segangewan's village, also 2 sections of 1 mile square each, at Tonquish's village, near the River Rouge. Also 3 miles square on Lake St. Clair, above the River Huron, to include Mecans's village, also, 6 sections, each section containing 1 mile square, within the section aforesaid, in such situations as the said Indians shall elect, subject, however, to the approbation of the President of the United States, as to the places of location. It is further understood and agreed, that whenever the reservations cannot conveniently be laid out in squares, they shall be laid out in parallelograms, or other figures, as found most practicable and convenient, so as to contain the area specified in miles, and in all cases they are to be located in such manner, and in such situations, as not to interfere with any improvements of the French or other white people, or any former cessions. Article 7. The said nations of Indians acknowledge themselves to be under the protection of the United States, and no other power, and will prove by their conduct that are worthy of so great a blessing. In testimony whereof, the said William Howell, and the sachems and war chiefs representing the said nations, have hereunto set their hands and seals. Done at Detroit, in the territory of Michigan, the day and year first above written.